Today's the day, folks. Today's the day of the eclipse. It's the 11th of August 1999. Apparently the next one's predicted September 23rd, 2090. Too long for me to wait.
This thin veil of electrically charged gas remains an enigma. Radiating heat of more than 1 million degrees centigrade, scientists still don't know exactly what is cooking it to such an extraordinary temperature. The surface of the Sun, in comparison, is a relatively chilly 6,000 degrees centigrade.
Anyway, I think that's all very interesting, but I'm afraid there's something that's a little bit more important than that, and that's the shares. So on this day, I think we should have a look how they're going.
Increased revenue means get more money. You understand?
So let's see what's happening with the shares, shall we? Right, okay, let's have a look. Abbey National, very, very cheap. Remember, that was over £14 at one time. If I had the money, I'd get a few more BT, but unfortunately, money's a little tight at the moment. And I can't see any other good deals there. But in the future, I'm sure I wish I had. Eurotunnel, very good price, 94 pence. I'm sure there'll be £3 very, very soon. Man United I had and sold. National Power is very cheap. Even Norwich Union. Norwich Union is very cheap as well. You know, that probably is a good share to have. Thomson's very cheap. Tesco's extremely cheap. I'm sure they'll go back to £5 like they were. Woolwich is extremely cheap as well. So, I mean, if anyone can go back in time to this period of time and actually buy up a whole load of shares now, just think how rich they'll be by the time the next eclipse of the sun would happen. Well, that's what some people will be doing this day for this particular eclipse. I mean, the next one's in 90 years. Why not, you know, take advantage of it? I'm in college on this day, doing level 2 networking. Got about another month to finish the course. And let's see what's going on outside. It's actually a nice day. We should be able to see the eclipse quite well.
They get very warmed up with it because this is a fallacy here. And the outer circle, because there's two types of stone circles. The outer circle represents woman, and this is when you get in there and you get dancing. Once you know how to work a stone circle, don't matter.
Major players involved in it all. Sunshine normally coming unimpeded onto the Earth's surface during daylight. Well, today, our friend the Moon very much getting in the way, as if it's suspended in space just for a moment, by describing this pool of shadow which it casts over a slim line on the Earth's surface. It starts in northwest Canada last night. It's already racing at 2,000 miles across the surface of the Earth. It's going to impact in the West Country, as we know, then race on through Europe, through the Middle East, and eventually it'll be witnessed, this phenomenon of total eclipse, in the Indian subcontinent later on today. And what a phenomenon it is. Wearing your safety glasses, of course. These are some of the things to look out for. Just before that moment of total eclipse, have a look for this particular phenomenon, the one they call Baily's beads, when the sunlight is just coming and creeping through the undulations on the surface of the moon, causing that spectacular effect. And just before total eclipse, we may well see one of these, when the last undulation of the surface of the moon produces a bit of sunlight to give that spectacular effect they call the diamond ring.
People partying on the boats bobbing around in the harbour below, and also spontaneous rounds of applause from the fort here. Everybody just having a great time and smiling and wondering about how tremendous this moment is.
Thank you very much indeed, Tim. We'll be coming back to you regularly over the next hour or so. But for the time being, leave you to your eclipse, which is growing all the time. So let's have a look, before we go any further, at exactly where today's eclipse can be seen. This is the route that it will take. We'll be following the shadow of the moon as it goes over Cornwall in the southwestern corner of England, across Alderney in the Channel Islands, over France, Germany, Romania, then Iran, until finally, after crossing the sunset line in India, it dies away in the Bay of Bengal.
That nothing is going to ruin this for anybody. Whatever happens here in the skies over Cornwall, everybody here is going to enjoy it. That is one way to look at it. Television screens have been put up. We have a screen in Plymouth. Sky News is in what's there. It's 11 o'clock. We'll bring you the headlines and of course of any stories great, but for the moment, this is what everybody's talking about. The eclipse 99. This is the view of Plymouth. You can see people on the beach there. It is actually quite chilly here. Now that is also a part of the eclipse phenomenon. The temperature will indeed drop. Now I'm joined by Richard Wade.
It's not very noticeable at all.
To any child, that is the view of the moon. That's how they think of it, isn't it?
It's lovely, isn't it? Lovely, lovely crescent.
Now, for an astronomer, as I was saying, there is a serious side to this. We do not know that much about the sun, particularly when you bear in mind that we all rather depend on it.
Well, of course, I mean, we know a huge amount about the sun, but it's important to know even more about the sun. It's important to know, for example, whether climate change is due to effects that man is having on the environment, or whether it's due to changes in the sun. It's important because the winds that come from the sun and actually impinge on the Earth's atmosphere and on the Earth's magnetic fields have an effect on satellites, they have an effect on communications. And some of the experiments we're doing during this eclipse, just down the road in Helston, are to do with studying those effects. And those things affect all our lives.
Approaching us. Now, approach my left shoulder. We will see that diamond ring effect that everybody's been talking about, won't we?
Yes, the diamond ring effect is going to take place for the period about the 10 o'clock position on the sun. That's the only deep lunar valley that seems to be around. I'm not convinced there will be a particularly good diamond ring at the start of totality, but there'll be a good one at the end. The lunar limb is so aligned at the moment.
Now, it's getting dark, all right, yes, it's cloudy, and the clouds are above us, but it is getting dark here, isn't it?
Oh, noticeably, yes.
It's an eerie sort of light. It's not really twilight, but the heavens seem to be coming down. There are a lot of people silhouetted against the skyline. We're looking out across the sea. I can see a flashing light that must be 20 miles away, but it's certainly getting darker. One or two of the security lights have come on already. There are no seabirds flying here at the moment. They seem to have gone down. One or two of the animals in the fields are actually sitting down, so maybe they can sense it as well.
Mike, we're looking at a picture from the Hercules plane which is travelling above the clouds, and we're very near that moment of totality. Just describe, I mean, I can see you've got the same as we've got. Flash cameras are now going off everywhere because it is getting darker by the second.
Yes, it is noticeably. As we speak, it is getting darker and darker. This light is really coming down. We can see this flashing light away on the horizon, right down the line of the shadow.
It is the most amazing sight. Even looking at that on a television screen, it's darkening in front of your eyes. What's it like to be there?
It is awesome. There's no other word for it. It's absolutely awesome. It's frightening almost. What's going to happen in the next few seconds, who knows? And this looks as though it's about to happen.
This is Sky News. That is the moment the eclipse, the total eclipse of the sun hits the British Isles. That's the sea
Yes,
in
here it comes. It is, I say it again, it's absolutely awesome.
What else is happening? It's an assault on all the senses, isn't it?
It's incredible. The light is down to the west, but to the northwest it's absolutely pitch black.
It's now approaching us here in Falmouth. Now that's the picture here in Falmouth. Just sitting here, I have to tell you, it's getting colder. The flash cameras are quite strange to see at this time of day, and as you're watching that picture you can see it is going darker
and darker. I can't see now Pendennis Castle, which is 100 yards away. That is the picture from the Hercules aircraft flying above us, above the clouds. And from here in Falmouth, just looking at the horizon, you can see the eclipse approaching. The moment of totality is here. There it goes. It is, you're lost for words.
If you can see the sky, if you can see the sun just solitary alone there with the corona, he'd be. And look at the horizon, you see. Still like that. I've lost my microphone.
It is the most amazing thing I have ever seen, and you can feel around you this feeling of the temperature is dropping. I can see on the horizon, we can actually start to see the sun emerging. It must be some 50 miles away on the west coast. It's just like sunrise, and yet where I am, it is totally black. You're hearing total silence because that is just how everybody feels at the moment. Just looking, you can feel it. And I can now hear seagulls, and what they can sense is the horizon. The sunrise is just approaching us now here in Falmouth. Although at the moment here, where I am, it's pitch black, I can see the sun heading towards us. Someone's just been setting off fireworks in the bay, which just illustrates. There you can see the sunrise as this path of totality. In this path of totality, we are about to see the sun re-emerge.
It's getting lighter instantly. I mean, look at that. That's absolutely, it's diamond rings.
It has just got sunny here. The Hercules picture. Just listen to that. We're hearing, people are just clapping. There are some people just staring at the sky here. Nothing can prepare you for that. Nothing at all.
Someone could have said something. Someone could have said it was going to be total crap. That would have been at least preparing for it.
We didn't get that. We didn't see the black line. We just got nighttime approaching us. It was on us, and then it was the quickest 2 minutes I've ever known. And here we are. We're back in daylight. One can understand anybody who says it's the most emotional experience they've ever seen, and it puts us in perspective a bit. Here I am. You couldn't see me a minute ago here. Let's just talk to Sharon Williams, who's seen a few of those. No total eclipse is the same. That was just spectacular.
That was unique again, because although the one, I've seen one in Finland that was completely clouded, it was very early in the morning and it was pretty dark anyway, and the cloud cover was total, absolute, complete rain, so cloud. So the dramatic...
This is an experience I'd like to forget straight away. Oh, let's have another look. Nothing. Absolute nothing.
Let's just show again watching live here on Sky News a moment ago from the Hercules plane.
That's right. That's no filters. That's as you would have seen it with the naked eye. That is actually what you would have seen hanging in the heavens. The the corona, that solar corona is probably as you would see it with the naked eye. If you expose it for longer on a camera, or you look at it for longer, it does stretch and get wider and broader. It probably goes on for 2 or 3 solar radii.
All this
and you
fuss.
can see the magnetic lines of force.
What a
on there.
complete washout.
There's an incredible amount of detail in the corona. Each one is different. That's perfect for a sun being almost at its maximum size.
Just a few minutes following Cornwall.
That's right. I mean, that was probably, as we saw it, perhaps 5, 6, 7 minutes before totality. So, in fact, the light
Again,
is
it's going,
down.
you can see it going.
That's right. But totality is the thing. I'm awfully sorry. I'm not trying to take it away from London, but you must do your photo eclipse. You must travel to totality, and it must be something.
It's hard to describe other than when we were in pitch black. It was midnight. It was as black as you could be, and other than the flash cameras, there was no light anywhere.
That's right. Well, I couldn't see my watch to find out when totality was going to end. You really can't see. It's strange. The sky itself was brighter than I thought it would be, but the surroundings were, as you say, more or less midnight.
Now let's talk to Mike in Givor, who was the first to see it. Mike, it is just it's difficult to describe, but do your best.
I can describe it in one word.
Well,
Crap.
I will. It's just like a normal day now, and what is amazing is that the back end of the weather front appears to be clearing now behind the line. When we go back to 11 minutes past 11, I do really feel quite humble and quite privileged to be actually.
I don't feel quite humbled.
Here,
I feel quite stupid and cheated.
There's no other way to describe it, really. It's a unique experience. It's something that I should never forget. And I'm
Well,
sure
I wish
everybody
I could
else
forget
in
it.
the position that I was will feel exactly the same. How else can you describe a moment in history and a moment in your life?
Mike, it is an assault on all the senses. Yes, of course it goes dark, but did you feel that temperature drop? Did you feel the hairs on the back of your neck go?
I felt absolutely nothing.
I think, yes, the temperature was already a bit cool on the top.
Right, let's have a close look at the sun.
Not so much frightening as we were expecting, but something quite.
It's gone. It's come back. Our sun it's gone down. It's exploding. Our sun's going nova.
Now there at Tower Bridge.
What a phenomenon.
Sheridan, we're looking at Tower Bridge. That is 95%.
Wow, we had about 10 eclipses there. Who needs to wait for 2090?
So it's not compensating for the light. So the human eye would make it much brighter than you're seeing it there. But it is a direct comparison with how it would have been sort of for normal daylight.
That said, there isn't a party going on in London at the moment. There isn't an office.
I'm not surprised there isn't a party going on, because there's absolutely nothing to party about.
There's quite a lot of celebrations going on.
We'd be better off bringing back Beatles about.
Partial eclipse, obviously, the closer you are to totality, the more dark it'll get, but it will not go completely dark unless you were in totality.
Richard, we were just sitting here. I couldn't see you all of a sudden. It was nothing could prepare you for that.
It's a great shame that we didn't see the corona, but the power of those 2 minutes is just indescribable. I think I would love to have seen the corona again today, but I still believe it's all been worthwhile, all the planning, encouraging people to come. I'm sure there's nobody up here on the castle who would say, well, we were cheated, we were encouraged to come to see this wonderful event and it was cloudy, we didn't see it. It was absolutely breathtaking, and I certainly felt very emotionally charged for those 2 minutes.
I think we all were. It's a very humbling thing, isn't it? Because there is no control. It's nature at its most powerful.
You could just imagine this.
Stop going on about it. I think I'm going to be sick.
Perhaps what was going on and weren't quite sure whether the sun was going to come back. It really does bring home to you that very deep sense of the power of the sun in all our lives and the effect it has on us deep down inside emotionally when the sun disappears. And even though we know the scientific facts of what was happening then, it's still awe-inspiring.
Okay, now we've seen this. These are people in France who are just
The French frogs, at least they're getting wet.
Parts of France are on the line of totality. what was strange, Richard, and what they will be experiencing now is it begins to get dark, and then all of a sudden there's a minute where before you blink, it's gone dark again.
That must be it. I must have blinked. I must have blinked and missed it. An exact example of a waste of time. Hey, next door neighbour, you're videoing it. There's nothing to video. Oh, save the tape. Oh, what a waste of time for everybody. For all you Futurians, here's a chance to set your alarm clock so that you can waste your time in 2090.
Well, I started out down a dirty road. Started out all alone, and the sun went down as I crossed the hill, and the town lit up. The world got still. I'm learning to fly, but I ain't got wings. Coming down is the hardest thing. Well, the good old days.
Let's fly. Let's fly.
So polite. Who's going to pull the ritual? Me. Right to the right feet. Right feet. Both of you stand on the red line. And keep smiling.
You know about the report. You know about the report.
Pull it.
This is why you pull it out. To the red line.
No, wait. To the red line. Never. Breathe. I'm not crazy. I'm not a fly. You tell me everything. Pick up your foot off. Extra time. Extra time. Extra time. Extra time. Breathe. Uh-oh. You sure that's right?
It's okay. Carabiners locked?
It'll do, right? Carabiners locked. It's okay. It'll be okay. It's okay.
Okay, guys, drop your foot bars. Press down. Place your foot in. Hold the blue bar underneath, the yellow. The blue bar underneath. And lean forward.
Oh, shit! Ah, oh my God! Oh, what are you doing? You're killing me!
Put your arms.
You're being crazy! My shoulder!
Put your arms.
It's not tight, is it? Ah! Oh, okay, tight enough. No, please, don't go. No, I don't want to go. No, please.
Let's fly.
No, let's fly. We're not flying. We're going to fly. No, we want our money. No, let go. Give us our money back. Give us our money back. Give us our money back.
Come on, guys.
No, wait. Wait. Give us one more minute. Let go of the bar. Okay. Let go. Yeah, let go. Just hook on, boys. Get off me. Oh, please. Get off me. Hook on. You gotta hold on like that.
You're gonna love it, man.
Hey, what's that for?
Very fun.
And if I don't pull it, we stay up there. Yeah. See you in the morning. Oh, shit. Bye, boys. Oh, no. Oh, I hate that. I hate you. I hate you. For the week. For the week.
Well done. I hate you. I hate you. I hate everyone.
That is quality. That is excellent. This is awesome. That was class. Oh yeah. People back home, you're the man. I'm the man. Chris, game on. Give it game on, Lodge. Yeah. Give it game on. Man. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yes.
It looks as though they had a jolly good time. And here's me having my time at the same time at the college. How are you getting on? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah?
I still got this.
You still got a lot to do. Yeah, tell me about it. It's pretty difficult, isn't it? How come you're logging on again?
Yeah? No, I just want to go to. I want to do this share thing, so.
Here we go. Star pupil needed again.
Big golden arches.
So tell me the truth, does McDonald's actually exist in Liverpool Street?
McDonald's is yes.
Huh?
Yeah, you drag my ass here every fucking day, Andreas. I should know. It fucking exists.
So Juliana, is there a McDonald's here or not?
Well,
what
Andreas,
are you drinking, by the way?
I'm drinking a regular Coke.
Regular Coke.
With the golden arches stamped, emblazoned on the cup. I reckon you'd have to be blind to miss it.
Yeah?
Yeah, definitely. Check it out, it's a humongous 5-story building. It's been here since the beginning of time. I mean, it's a landmark, definitely.
So how many Big Macs did you have today?
Today? Oh, only 3. Only, it's just feeling a bit peckish. Didn't really have a hunger. Did you enjoy your meal?
Does she know you over there, or? No? Does she know you over there, or?
Does she know? Well, try and focus, yeah? I must admit, in the middle of the city, people are beautiful. The women are just incredible. Take my meaning over there if you'd like to check out the girl in grey, posing for you.
The blonde.
Yeah. You got a nice close up of that?
Yeah.
Can you get an extreme close up?
Yeah.
With that camera?
I tell you, life in the city is pretty good.
Yeah.
You know.
You can smell the money in the air.
You know, and we're loaded.
We're loaded. We're part of it. We're part of the scene. Andreas. We're young. We're happening.
Okay, I think a stroll in the park to see some bowls. What do you think?
Finsbury Park. Yeah. Good idea. Let's go.
Bowls?
I'm like king of bowls.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a silly question if I've ever heard one.
Yeah.
Look at me. Can't you see it's the physique? I've got the perfect physique for this game. The technique. It's all in the technique. It's in the wrist, Andrew. 20/20 vision, hand-eye coordination. It's all there with me.
They're creating more space in the city. They're creating more space in the city. Have a look. I saw, since I've been coming to the store, I've seen that construction work start from a little baby.
Yeah.
Look at it now.
A monster, isn't it? It just keeps getting big every day. It's ridiculous. That's millions of pounds worth of investment up there. You see that?
You never know, we could be working there
You
someday.
see that office up there? That's where you're going to be.
Yeah.
One day,
Top floor.
you get your level 2, right? You'll be on the top floor right now. I see it. I can see it.
That's where I'll be jumping out.
Another sunny day. It's incredible, isn't it? Since we started this college has been sunny. It's only one rough patch when everybody had the flu.
Yeah. I fancy a Coke.
Shall we go get a Coke?
A Coke and an ice cream.
And an ice cream?
Yeah.
Haagen-Dazs.
But having said that, it's not the only thing I fancy.
Okay, try and focus and keep your mind on the job, Andreas. You see, that's your weakness. If ever there was one, your Achilles heel.
Okay, hello and welcome to another evaluation. Volume 22. What can I say about it? I'm sorry, I don't know if anyone's noticed. Probably no one's actually noticed what volume 22. Did you notice that I wasn't in it? I'm not in the volume at all. I mean, the way I do my videos and everything, you see my life through the eyes of the camera. But occasionally, at least you see me here and there, even for a minute on other volumes. On this one, I am not seen at all. Anyway, more of that and more of ado. Let's get into the volume and talk about it straight away. So my parents have gone to Cyprus with Egli and my sister, and I didn't go with them. I was at a college, so I recently left the factory and I started this college. Now I'm going to talk about the college in more detail a little bit later. But if you have a look at this film, my dad is using the ViewCam which I sold to him. I told you it was a waste of money. It was £1,250, something like that. What a waste of money. I've talked about that before. I sold it to my dad for 400. It was a way of getting some money back, but I gave it to my dad. He took it to Cyprus. I think, to be honest, he's taken quite a good film, but it has a sort of Super 8 feel to it. I mean, I remember when I took my camera, a Super 8 camera, you know, the old film, celluloid stuff, the really expensive stuff. And this is the kind of shot. Look how you're filming into the sea. I told them to be careful with it. Obviously, I didn't want them to walk into the sea with the camera. But they're filming from the beach, and it has that Super 8 look to it. And as you can see, if you don't get into the proper angle, look at this. You know, so if you're filming further back, you know, you're going to have people walking in front. You're not going to have total control. Look at this. You know, here we go. Mr. Bikini Man, you know, with his flip-flops. You know, you know what I'm saying.
Andrew, you're missing a lovely time. Yeah. You're waiting for our dinner.
So it's their holiday. They keep mentioning Andrew, you're missing this. And Auntie Tia, oh, you know, wish you were here and all this stuff. You know, I mean, they're on holiday. What do you care if I'm there? Try and enjoy it. This is an interesting scene. This is a swimming pool. And my sister tried to show me that a few years later. It's a car park now. Just a bit of history. If you ever look for this swimming pool, you're not going to find it. That swimming pool is actually a car park now. But if you have a look, it's historical. If you have a look in the distance, you see Uncle George giving Auntie Tia breaststroke lessons. You know, so, you know, good old Uncle George, you know, sort of, you know, keeping the British end up. You know what I'm saying? This is my flat, the flat I bought in 1985. There was a lot of stories. One day I'll go into the history of this flat. But we rented it out to this guy. He used to work in the Tonka Tonka Club down the road. Not exactly the kind of place you would take your auntie. You know what I'm saying? So really bad sort of people. He was there when we left Cyprus in 1993. He was there to 2003. In 10 years, he had ruined that flat. The kind of money he paid me in 10 years was only the money to actually rebuild that flat and make it nice. Maybe you could say that it was worth it in the sense that we got a nice flat now, but you know, if you're looking, you know, everyone says it, you know, if you rent your house out, you have to have some kind of conditions with how they're going to leave it in a better condition. For instance, you don't want to start forking out a fortune trying to fix it. But I mean, this flat, for instance, I mean, even at this time, I mean, the guys let it fall apart. So I hope you don't mind me. I've got some jelly babies that I'll be eating while I'm doing my evaluation. I know I shouldn't talk with my mouth full, but you know, what's a jelly baby between friends? You know. Oh, okay. So
Ra, cái lọ sụp vô. Lọ sụp vô.
Okay. So they're in the mountains. We've done this film before. My uncle lost us. He died unfortunately, but they went and visit all the family up in the mountains, and they're having a barbecue. Now, I never mentioned this in the 1993 Cyprus video, but you have a look. You see that, you know, that girl, for instance, when they made the barbecue in 1993, exactly how they're doing it here. One souvla, one piece of souvla, a piece of pork, fell on the ground where it's all dusty and horrible. Oh, no, it's okay. It's okay. No, there's nothing's wrong with it. And me, Chris and Egli were sort of saying, now we're playing Russian roulette. Who's going to get that piece of souvla with all the dust on it? I suppose you could sort of say, you know, you shouldn't really waste food and everything. You know, they weren't going to throw that away, but I thought, you know, Chris and Egli sort of, you know, I wonder if they remember that. But it's sort of the same sort of thing here. They're making a souvla. And one last thing to say, I went to Cyprus in 2003. I didn't take a film. I don't know if I took a film at that time. You'll see the Cyprus 2003 much later on in the volumes. The point is we went up there. There's a lot of English people around there now, and you know, English people, they should respect the village at least. You know, you should be sort of a minority. They've become the majority there, and there was actually a bathing costume. You know, it was, you know, they got a swimming pool there, and there was actually some kind of beauty contest. And I was saying, what? This has changed, you know. And you know, you see the ladies in their black dresses. They say hello to the English people and hello to all these bikini-clad girls that are, you know. So a lot of English people have bought houses up there. They're 20 minutes away from the beach. They're probably really happy. I think there's probably other places in the world that are much better than this, but there you go. The English have actually ruined that village. So this time they're off to Egypt. Do you remember we were off to Egypt a few volumes back in 1997 for volume 17? But they're going to Israel as well. Exciting trip, same boat as you can see here, nothing new. But look how my mum and Auntie Gardina are so, you can see them, they're so excited to go, aren't they? You know, you know, you can see that it's a trip of the lifetime. You know, they're almost, you know, you know, fidgeting with over-excitement, I think. They get to the pyramids. Have a look here. I mean, I know there's a policeman, but the way he's looking at my dad here is sort of saying, you know, excuse me, but you're taking a film of my camel. I want £1. You know what I'm saying? You know, in Egypt, you know, if you take a photograph, you touch their camel, it's money, money, money. You know what I'm saying?
Πού είσαστε τώρα, στην πυραμίδα σας? Android, they are in the pyramid now, alright?
That's the thing I didn't like about the Egyptians. But no, they seem to have a nice time. And have a look at this. I mean, my dad is right in the front of this. I mean, when I took the show back in 1997, we were so late, we had to sit at the back. I think I got a pretty good video when I did it in 97. But my dad here is right in the front. Okay, he's got a side view, but this is actually really, really nice footage.
Means a popular tree. The name Nicosia is the Latin version of Lefkosia. This name, the name Nicosia.
Did you hear that? No, let me just, I just have to wind this back.
Lefkosia means a popular tree. The name Nicosia is the Latin version of Lefkosia. This name...
The name Nicosia comes from the French this and that. And here we are in Gado Bania. Where have you heard that before, the way she's talking? Do you remember the movie, The Big Fat Greek Weddings, where the guy goes, the name Apple comes from the word Milo, which means... I'm not sure. This was 1999, and I'm sort of thinking The Big Fat Greek Wedding was later. Maybe it was modelled on her. I don't know. And Egli gives me a message. Have a listen.
Appena se dio Andros.
I said, Egli, please. Do you have to be that rude? Let me wind that back if you didn't actually hear that.
Appena se dio Andros.
Where are we going now?
Okay, I didn't really want to mention it here, but this is archival, and I might as well mention it. My dad's saying that he has to go back and face the music. That's my uncle Aleko, his brother, was actually very, very ill at that time, and unfortunately he died. So, well, obviously I regret that he's died, but what I'm saying is I'm sort of glad that my dad was in Cyprus at that particular time. I just thought that was better. I thought I'd mention it. So while I'm at the college, you can see the boys and everyone having a good time in a Yamnaba. This is the Luna Park that was a derelict. I told you it was a derelict. I also filmed this when it was before it had even been built. And now you see Chris and Pani on these rides and everything, and Sidiri and his friend Gary. They wouldn't go on these rides in '97, but eventually they went on these rides and they made these videos, and I thought I'd include it in the Life and Times. Again, I'm not in it. I wasn't even in Cyprus, so they had gone to Cyprus that year. There's a funny story with Sidiri's friend Gary. I have to tell you it. Okay, he had his wedding and he invited Sidiri. Now he's English. They have what's called afternoon guests. An afternoon guest is a guest that you don't want to pay his meal for. In other words, he comes in the afternoon, you haven't paid anything for him at all. Maybe he has a little bit of buffet, but basically he's a free guest and you get a present. Very English thing, you know. In a Greek wedding you're either invited or you're not. But the point is Sidiri, I don't know what it was, whether it was Sidiri's fault or not. He delayed his reply for his invitation. So it was so late that Gary turned around and said, well, all the places are set now. You're now an afternoon guest. And Sidiri didn't like this, and he said, right, we're not friends anymore, I'm not coming to the wedding. Anyway, Sidiri's driving along, minding his own business one Sunday around Barnet. He forgets that it's Gary's wedding, and he's called in the traffic lights, and he's right outside the church, literally, with all Gary's friends and everything. Sidiri's sort of hiding underneath the car, you know, and looking, you know, come on, get these traffic lights moving, you know, do you know what I'm saying? Can you imagine? And they just wouldn't change, and he's trying to hide, and they're actually on the pavement right next to his car. I thought that was the funniest story I ever heard. Okay, very historical here. This is the eclipse of August 1999. Obviously a very big event. Could be seen better on the coast. Now, the television, you see it on the television, we were watching it on Sky News. I've got a feeling they just turned down the aperture a little bit to make it a little bit darker. I don't believe they're, you know, in a total eclipse. I can imagine a big shadow, but I couldn't imagine it, you know, being a night. So I don't really believe that. I could have used special effects here to make it. There was nothing happened. I mean, it was a waste of time. Don't bother waiting for, you know, 2090. I think it's September 23rd, 2090. Don't bother waiting for that. Absolutely nothing happened. I could have been clever and played with the camera and made it a lot darker. In fact, when I say nothing happened, if you have a look, it does have a sort of tinted affect the garden, but nothing that you would notice. Maybe that was the eclipse, who knows? But for my money, you know, don't bother waiting for 2090.
What was strange, Richard, what they will be experiencing now is...
And here you go, the next door neighbour. You could see her here, you know. She's got her little video camera, well, just like I have, you know, filming it for her husband. But there was absolutely nothing to film. So now we see my mum's 50th wedding anniversary, and I'm going to say to my mum, I said, look, I have to say this, you know, people spend hundreds and hundreds of pounds on specialist DJs to make sure their parties go with a swing. Now why do you pay the hundreds of pounds? DJs have to know their job. They have to A, have the music, obviously, B, they have to know what to play, and C, they have to get the party with a swing. If they do those three things, they get their money and everyone's happy. But my mum expects me to be those three things and be a host at the wedding. I mean, we had this silly, I mean, I know I praised it in another volume, this Amstrad system. I don't have any music. I'm not a music man. I'm not the one to go around having loads and loads of music. We just had a stereo. There was no, I don't think I even had a CD player at that time. And my mum sort of said, well, you've spoiled this for me, because Uncle George came with a little cassette, a 2-hour cassette. You know that they're very heavily disked. You know, you got lots of tape on it. It played on his little piddly little machine at home, but it wouldn't play in ours. You know, it just wouldn't turn. So we had no music, so it was very, very difficult. I know it all looks good here, but I was very upset that my mum said that, you know, I ruined it for her. And Joan said, you know, you're for it when we leave. I've got a lot of bones to pick with Joan, but I just want to play this little moment. Have a look at this.
I believe there is. Sound? Is there sound?
You wouldn't have one of these without sound. No. Silent days are over with Charlie Chaplin.
Oh, I didn't realise it had sound on it.
That's 1999. Video cameras have been around for 20 years. Even before this was Super 8, I used to have sound. And you don't know that camera... Have you ever seen a video, Joan, with no sound? She's got a shocked look here. You know, she's looking pretty shocked here, as if to say, you know, oh, well, she actually says it. I didn't know they had sound on them. 20 years. I mean, have you ever seen a video without sound? The only thing that we keep seeing all the time, Joan, is that jacket, you know. Didn't it? It made its first appearance in 1994 at Chris and Nikki's wedding. And unfortunately, 5 years later, it's made its unwelcome return at my mum and dad's 50th anniversary. Are we going to see that again? I think we probably are, Joan, aren't we? I think you wear it 4 years later at Chris and Renata's wedding. You know, now I'll give a little bit of advice. I mean, okay, if you go... I understand about being economical. I mean, if you're poor, for instance, I can understand about being economical if you haven't got the money and everything. But Joan, you work in the city. You even admitted it yourself once. You get city prices. You got a mortgage with a lesser percent than anybody else. And then you get a hefty redundancy payment, you know, that's going to make you a little fortune. But you're not economical. You're actually being mean. I think I'm going to give her a little bit of a word of advice here. I said, at least for the next time you bring that out, at least have it in your wardrobe with a nylon over it. Because at Chris's wedding, I'm sorry, the yellow in the white began to show. Okay, here, if you have a look, it's Bumbo's girlfriend, the Rusky, you know, the Russian girlfriend. I have to praise Bumbo here. You know, he actually admitted that she got up one morning, it's his girlfriend, got up one morning and said, right, I don't want to know anymore, and she just left. Most Greeks wouldn't have admitted that, so I'm going to give some credit to Bumbo who actually admitted it. If he didn't admit it, I'd probably have a go at him now. So Bumbo, you may not be Mr. Personality of my videos, but at least you win Mr. Honesty. And lovely scenes. You see Uncle George and Uncle Nick singing. Lovely little moment this. And have a listen to this.
I've got a lovely bunch of coconuts. Everyone you throw.
It's nice to know that Auntie Mary has a lovely bunch of coconuts. You know, it does make one's heart very warm, doesn't it? This is a nice little moment in history. Let's see if you can understand what people are saying here.
I mean, we bought some kids. Yeah, and we got on the internet now, talking to these people over the world, and all these people in. Yeah. But you find all these girls like in New York and Las Vegas and all that, and they're saying, oh, it's so good. And they explain all this.
Okay, so Deary and their family had just bought a computer. I was at the process, just starting. I hadn't even built my computer. I was building my computer just at the start of my level 3, which I will talk about later. But I didn't have a computer, and so Deary's saying that he's talking and chatting to all these girls all over the world, and then he looks at me like this. They don't film that bit, but that was all new then. You know, all very new with the internet, and I think that's actually a good sort of moment in history there. Okay, and here we have the generation game. Now I talked about this a lot on the last volume. I'm sure some people are going to say this is sour grapes. You know, I have to sort of, you know, examine my demons. Maybe it is sour grapes. I've always wanted to be on the generation game. I never thought that I would have an opportunity or at least a little chance of being on it. And then suddenly I had this chance of being on it, and I'm not on it. Lula could have put more dancers in for us all to be on it, but you know, sour grapes, they looked absolutely awful. I mean, I can't understand why the best dancer, you see it at the end when I complain, I can't understand, it looks as if I blame the best dancer for not being in it, but the point is Lula, I don't know who wangled it that our best girl dancer is not in it, and then you get the girls with no control over, this is in front of 7 to 10 million viewers. And then you've got Sodiri, he makes a classic Bobo. I mean, I can understand they were all nervous, but you know, the thing I don't like is Lula was always trying to suggest that the group was democratic and this and that. You know, we always used to have a system where you would put your name down if you're available. There was no system here, it was just you, and you. See, Lula's very clever, the dance teacher is very clever. She knew that this was a historical little piece of film that she would look at when she's old and, you know, with a walking stick and everything. She wanted to see these people in it. I mean, Eleni's in it. She's only just got into the group. How many people, you know, resented that? She didn't care. She liked Eleni, she was in. She turned out to be the best dancer, fair enough. But that's basically it for the generation game. Call it sour grapes. But don't ever say that I wasn't in it because I was any good. You know, odd plod plod. And Mr. Blobby, I even put it, you know, congratulations, Mr. Blobby. You know, you outdanced all of our Lyra dancers, and I'm going to say it, but Auntie Tia has to, I wanted this to go past. I just didn't want to, I never told anybody this was on. Did I leave the phone off the hook? No, but Auntie Tia, you know, unfortunately Auntie Tia, she meant well. I'm not saying, you know, Auntie Tia meant well. But she wasn't thinking, it's not a new thing with Auntie Tia, you know, she hardly ever thinks. And in the end, I have to explain to my family why I wasn't in it. So there's a special accreditation for that. And thank you, Auntie Tia. Okay, let's just have another jelly baby. You know, why not? So that's that. And because at this particular time I had started Sight City Associates. It was a computer college, best time of my life really. I killed myself to try and get in there. People used to be forced to go there, you know, to learn their stuff. So I started at the Sight City Associates and I'm working on this computer. We were just learning, it was actually 3.1. You probably don't know what that system is. It's probably way beyond, you're way probably beyond that when you're listening to this. It was before Windows 95. There was a system called 3.1. And actually when I bought a computer, I was actually using 3.1. I was very used to using that. And here's Juliana. Have a look, just have a listen to this.
Yes. Huh? Yeah, you drag my ass here every fucking day, Andreas. I should know. It fucking exists.
He used to swear like a trooper. You know, it got to a point where every single sentence there was at least 2 or 3 swear words. And it got to a point where you don't even notice, it's in the video, you don't even notice him swearing, and he used to accidentally swear in front of the teachers. Juliano was a quick learner. He used to be a waiter, high-class waiter. He used to say he used to get a lot of money doing that job. He used to do his head in. He was learning very fast in the class. Everyone else was slow in the class. He was very fast, and I was always trying to catch up with him. He was spoiling my time. I was already going quite fast, but I don't know why. You know, he was actually very good. And then there's a little story when I started that because I wanted to do special effects in films and I wanted to get into films. So I had an interview at Tower Hamlets at the same time. Now, I didn't have a portfolio. I mean, I got my art O-level and everything, etc., etc. But I went to Tower Hamlets to see if I could get in, just to see, a reconnaissance. So I went there, there's this lovely guy, yeah, oh, you'll get in. I said, I've got no portfolio. Don't worry, you've got no portfolio. I said, look, if you're good at lighting, we'll put you in for lighting. If you're good at sound, we'll put you in the sound. You've got no problem, you're going to cut. Don't worry. So I said, oh, that's very good. So I arranged a proper interview. So I go down to Tower Hamlets and I called this person the bitch of Tower Hamlets. She had, I pretty remember that she had she was brunette and she horrible dyed orange sort of hair. And I remember blue eyes with those horrid, I know there's a lot of girls out there that have got this, but you got blue eye and that horrid black pimple, when you sort of look at somebody they see right through you. I went down there. They didn't know that I was coming. And can you imagine, she goes into the office and she phones up and goes, who's told you to bring someone down for an interview? They didn't know that I was coming at all. Can you imagine how I felt? So she gives she was in another room. I didn't exactly hear what she was saying, but I'm not stupid. So she comes out, she says, right, you're supposed to have a portfolio. I said, I turned and I had a video. Do you remember the video here? Andriko's wedding. It wasn't, you've got to remember Andriko's wedding I did in 1990. There was no special effects or anything like that. But I had the video and we went into a small room and we played it and I sort of explained everything. And it was sort of like a school thing, where when you go and you're 18 and stuff like that. She didn't like me at all. There was no way I was going to get past this bitch. I always call her the bitch at Tower Hamlets. As I was leaving, I see this little guy, well, when I say little guy, 17-year-old. He walks out something that looked like a dark room, and he trips over his feet like an idiot, all freckle face and spotty, all acne all over his face. Then there was another 18-year-old, a girl, and she turned around to the teacher. I didn't see what she had done, but she had made something on a piece of paper, and she said to the teacher, that's okay, isn't it? I said, if you're an artist or you want to put everything into it, it's never okay. It was like she just wanted to sort of, I just want to get through this. Do you know what I'm saying? I saw the guy. Maybe if I'd, I sort of think, maybe if I'd gone up to the guy and said to him, excuse me, but you said this was going to be easy, and then I have to be, it's happened so many times, and I will say it so many times on my evaluations where this has happened, where someone says, it's like the partner or a junior partner or something, oh yeah, don't worry, come along. Maybe I'm like that really, you like to tell people what they want to hear. But, you come along and then you meet the other guy, it's like good cop, bad cop, you know what I'm saying? So, but the thing is, because I was starting site and because I was starting computers, I felt that there was probably more of a realistic career in computing. Okay, so me and Juliana got through level 1. We're supposed to do level 1 in 8 weeks. And we did it, I think we did it in 2 or something, 3. The teacher was saying, I'm sorry, you've got to wait. Anyway, I come into the college one day and suddenly Giuliano's taken this big test. He didn't tell me anything about it. It's a big test that you have to pass to do level 2. There was 2 different level 2s. Level 2 Ops and level 2 apps, application and operation. So the operation is the one that you wanted to do. In fact, I can't remember, but one was just operating. You know what I'm saying. Anyway, I took the test, and they were saying to me, "You're going to pass this easily," because I was quite good, you know. But you know, don't worry. Learn your, learn your DOS commands, and you'll get through it. I'm really glad that Juliana didn't tell me any of the answers, because I'm sure there was a lot of trick questions there. Like I never looked this up, but it said, "What does 8 bits make?" And it had a letter, word, or a sentence. It was something like that. The answer was word. I actually put down letter. I think there were some trick questions in there. It's a good job that Juliana didn't actually tell me some of the answers, because I fell for this. And I did the test. He got something out like 32 out of 35. When I saw the questions on this test, they were just so difficult. You had Juliana, who just started computer. I'd started computer before him, and I was really embarrassed. You're supposed to do it for 1 hour. I was in the, I'm sure I never passed that exam. But they were nice in the college. They let me through, and I'm just sure I never passed that exam. But in the end, you know, I was sort of their top student. I'll tell you that another time as we move later in my life in the college. But we got through, and now we're doing level 2. Giuliano spoils everything for me. He says, "Oh, you know," because they're all boffins in the class. But they weren't boffins, they were just people with computers who do F-disk and, you know, format things. I mean, it's nothing today. And he thought it was so difficult. I said, it's not so difficult. And we had some cheats. There was this guy, this black guy, you know, he never used to turn up. And then he used to copy me. You know, there was one quiz where you sort of have to find out everything about a computer. So you have to look for things, you know, what kind of RAM it's got, what kind of this it's got, what kind of that it's got. And he just copied me. He just copied, and in the end I found out that he tried to become a placement with us later on. I won't go too much into it, but you know, he uses someone else's CV, and he came down to me. He goes, he was just talking to everybody in the group. He goes, he looked at my CV. This is Chris Webb, the man at the top of Site City Associates. He goes, yeah, he looks at my CV and he should see that I'm more qualified than him. So he called him a racist and everything. They got rid of him. Really bad people. Some people there, but you know what I'm saying. But you know that you can't fool these people. It was obvious that he had cheated on someone's CV. It wasn't the only thing. I will talk about level 3 of the big cheats a bit later. But I want to talk about this now. So we're at McDonald's, and here I bought the view cam so no one would know I'm filming. But I never checked to see what was going on around me. And if you have a look at this woman here, she works in McDonald's, and she's, "Oh no, you can't, what's it to her? You can't film here. Oh no, sorry." You know, I should have looked around. I'm filming right in her face. Apparently it's a McDonald's rule that you can't do any videos. Now, I asked Andy if there was such a rule. He said there wasn't. Then he checked and said, well, there was. They shouldn't be so strict about videos in there, but I didn't like this cow at all. And in the end, well, not in the end, but 2 or 3 months later, I went in there, and I used to buy two, they're not Wimpys, but I used to buy 2 Wimpys and fries, and it always used to be $1.97. Very simple meal, almost like a child's meal. I didn't know about Big Macs at that time, but it was always $1.97. I used to always get change of 3 pence. But the point is I went there once and she didn't want to put it through the till because she was showing somebody how to do it. He goes, "I'll let you off, you don't have to pay me the extra." I said, I gave her £2. I said, "What do you mean you're not going to pay me the extra? I want my 3 pence change." And I wasn't going to let her off, and she was arguing, and she was doing her pen to say how much it was and everything. And I argued, and the manager came along and said, "Oh, she didn't know, here's your 3 pence. I found out with Andy that anything you complain about McDonald's and everything, they just do not want an argument. They will give you anything. If you argue with McDonald's, for instance, they will give you free McDonald's, free this, free that, just to get you out of the way. But the thing is, I was right. I wasn't going to let her off. So if you ever see this, this is the McDonald's in Liverpool Street. You heard Giuliano say that, you know, I said,
I should
he
know.
says, I should know that it's here, that it's effing here. Do you remember when he said that? It was a thing because Sadiri used to pass Liverpool Street at that time when he said that there was no McDonald's. Well, this is the Liverpool Street station at the back of Liverpool Street. You know, the main street you won't see the McDonald's. This is actually behind. So if you ever see this woman, you have my permission to stuff a Big Mac down her mouth. So Giuliano, I kept on asking him a lot of questions. I'm always the kind of person who's lost at the beginning. He used to ask him a lot of questions. Then afterwards, when I get my stride, I got ahead. I actually finished level 2 before any of these boffins that Giuliano was saying in the class. So I wanted to do level 3. There was a problem that you could only do in this college for some silly unemployment rules. You can only do 2 levels. So we did level 1 and 2. And we weren't allowed to do level 3. So someone said to me, well, why don't you go to this other college? I wish I could remember the name. There was 2 colleges. I wish I could remember the name of the other college. So I went to the other college to try and pass this test to get level 3. I was full of myself that I was going to pass. And I did everything, and I was working with this black guy. There was only 2 of us doing the test. Well, there was other tests there, but it was only me and him doing the test for level 3. And the girl comes out and she says, which one of you is Andreas? I said, it's me. Well, the other guy's passed, you failed. I said, how many did I get? I was 1 short. You know, I was just so embarrassed. I said, well, I got level 2, doesn't that mean anything? She goes, no. It's, you know, this little blonde fat cow, you know, telling me that I can't do it. And I blamed myself. There was 3 questions that I should have known. What does BIOS stand for? And I remember at home thinking, you know, before that question even came up, I said, I must look that up. Basic input and output system. You know, I just didn't know that. And then there was another thing that we had done in level 1 that I didn't remember. He says, the Data Protection Act. It says, what is the Data Protection Act? And the Data Misuse Act. Those are 3 questions. I suppose if I got them right, I could have gone to that college. It was, that college went downhill very fast. I actually went there a few years later. Went down very fast, and that fat cow's lost her job. I mean, don't expect me to bleed for her for that. But I came back with my tail between my legs, and I said to Giuliano, I said, you're going to laugh, but I didn't even pass the test. And he said, well, what's so funny about that? And I even said to him, what does BIOS stand for? And he says, basic input and output. You know, he knew all this stuff because in the jargon there was this PC, £1 PC jargon. I can't remember, yeah, I think it was PC jargon it was called. And in the back they have a glossary of what everything is. And Giuliano picked up all that, so I mean, I'm sure he would have passed the test. But lucky enough, we were allowed to do level 3 in the school, providing that we were placements. So I started my level 3. We were supposed to start on the 16th of September, for instance. And I said, I'm going to start it now. It was the 1st of September. Giuliano couldn't believe it. He said, what are you doing? Yeah. And I did a project on printers. You know, I actually put the title, why does the printers on the network never print? So you've got to remember, I wasn't very fast at typing. So making a report took me the whole weekend to make 10 or 11 pages. But I'd already started. So here I was at this particular point, doing level 3. Still plenty of stories to talk about Site City Associates, which I will talk on the next volume. But that's basically it. A volume that I wasn't even in. I haven't mentioned the shares. You can see the shares here. I used to do stock market shares. I will talk in detail about that another time, but I will just tell you now that I used to be on the Site City toilets doing my business, you know, buy, sell, you know what I'm saying? Maybe too much info there. But anyway, I hope that you did actually enjoy this volume. Not the best volume in the world, but there you go. You know, times change, things change. So I will leave it as a classical moment, and I hope you all watch and enjoy.
Good. Yeah. No problem. Yeah. Give me some. Game on. Well done. I hate you. I hate you. I hate everyone.
Πάλι χαράματα ξυπνάς με δάκρυα στα μάτια σου. Το ίδιο όνειρο μου λες, το είδες πάλι χθες. Άκου πως κάνει ο αργυλές που πίνει τα κομμάτια σου. Άκου πως παίζει ο μπαγλαμάς πάνω απ' τις σκεπές. Καβάλισες στη μουσική και πέρασες στη θάλασσα. Ύστερα μέσα σε μια αυλή κατέβηκες αργά. Ο γέρος σου σε μια γωνιά σε φώναζε Αντάρτισσα. Κι η μάνα σου έλεγε ποτέ μη ξαναφύγεις πια. Θα σε περνάνε για τρελή που θες να πας στο Αϊβαλί. Ρε παιδικά να τραγουδήσεις, θα σου κολλήσουν ρε τσινιά. Θα λένε η Στέλλα η Σμυρνιά, απ' το χασίσι έχει κολλήσει. Ύστερα σ' ένα φορτηγό κουβαλάγες στην πρίκα σου, που φύλαγες μια ζωή για εκείνη τη στιγμή. Που είναι κορίτσι μου γλυκό η ομορφιά κι η γλύκα σου. Τώρα η δικιά σου η φωνή κατάντησε κραυγή. Τα έβαλες με το Θεό για τον Ντουνιά τον απονό, που κάνανε τη γειτονιά καμένο μαγαζί. Στο ένα χέρι το τσουρά, στα μάτια το παράπονο. Να αναρωτιέσαι πια κανείς να ζει ή να μισεί. Θα σε περνάνε για τρελή που θες να πας στο Αϊβαλί. Ρε παιδικά να τραγουδήσεις, θα σου κολλήσουν ρε τσινιά. Τα λένε η Στέλλα η Σμυρνιά, απ' το χασίσι έχει κολλήσει.